is NBC Palm Springs.
Good morning, Coachella Valley, and thank you for joining us for NBC Palm Springs Midday. I'm Joe Smith. I'm glad you're here. As we just heard from a guest that we're going to be talking with in just a bit, he said that there are two seasons here, hot and hotter, and we are now going into season 2. Is that right, Jerry?
I think we can elevate that to season 3.
Oh, okay.
Extremely hot, yeah, dangerously hot in some areas. Hot and dry today, kind of like it was over the past couple of days. We'll see the addition of clouds moving in, some mid-level moisture will begin to creep into Southern California in the form of clouds. Yeah, and excessive heat warnings have been put out for Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, with temps well above average. More on those numbers in a bit. Today, though, much like yesterday, 112 under mostly sunny skies, a few high clouds moving in late in the day. Winds will be somewhat light. We'll take a look at the forecast into the weekend and beyond, coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Jerry, thank you.
Coronavirus coverage brought to you by East Valley COVID-19 testing site, serving residents of eastern Coachella Valley.
Open our schools. Stop this nonsense.
The Trump administration is focusing on schools reopening this fall. We'll tell you what one local school district is planning while adhering to CDC guidelines. But first, infection rates are increasing and hospitals are strained in states that are now being called hotspots for coronavirus. Arizona, California, and Texas are all dealing with surges in cases. In Florida, infection rates are exploding and many more are still waiting to be tested. NBC Sam Brock reports from Florida.
This morning, Florida in free fall.
Every day it seems like another record.
120 deaths reported Thursday, a new daily high, pushing Florida's fatalities beyond 4,000 from COVID-19. ICU bed capacity in Miami-Dade County, the epicenter of the nation's new epicenter, now at nearly 92% and rising.
We're full. If you come through the ER right now, and when you're admitted, somebody has to figure out where's that bed going to be.
While sending around 100 nurses to Miami-Dade to provide backup, Florida's governor downplaying a potential hospital crisis.
If you look at kind of what's going on, they have a lot of capacity in terms of beds, but particularly in some parts of the state, they have seasonally less staff now.
State data shows nearly half of Florida's intensive care units are at least 90% full as COVID testing lines bend around blocks. And the nation's top infectious disease expert highlights a harrowing fact.
When you look at California, Arizona, Texas, and Florida, they're accounting for 50% of the new infections.
With that oversized piece of the COVID pie, Disney World is set to reopen Saturday after a 4-month shutdown. Mixed reactions over that decision. Annual pass holders allowed inside the park on Thursday for a preview. Popular characters keeping their distance. Temperature screenings, face coverings, and social distancing. Now all part of the most magical place on earth.
At the Miami Beach Convention Center, lines of cars stretch around the block here of people waiting to get tested for COVID-19. This on the heels of a staggering figure Thursday. Across the state of Florida, for the first time, more than 1 in 5 people who were tested came back positive for COVID-19. In Miami Beach, Sam Brock, NBC News.
And back home, Riverside County saw another record-setting day for new cases, with 1,377 new cases reported yesterday. 354 of those in the Coachella Valley. 18 new deaths were also reported in the county, 6 of those deaths in the valley. Both doctors and educators say science, not politics, should determine when it is safe to reopen schools. Several groups, including the American Academy of Pediatrics, National Education Association, and School Superintendents Association issued a statement today. It says returning to school is, quote, important for the healthy development and well-being of children, but we must pursue reopening in a way that is safe for all students, teachers, and staff. There is also no universal approach for reopening, as each area is being affected by coronavirus differently. Locally, the Desert Sands Unified School Districts Board voted 4-1 on a plan to get students back in classes by August 19th. The district will start with online learning, homeschooling, and move into a hybrid model of online and in-classroom learning. Parents will have a choice for their children with homeschooling support or independent study. And there was a lot of discussion on strict safety measures, including mandatory masks, proper air circulation, hand washing stations, and temperature checks. Desert Sands, like so many other districts across the country, is following federal guidelines from the Centers for Disease Control on how to keep classrooms safe. But the CDC says it will not revise its school opening guidelines despite calls from President Trump and the White House to do so.
I want to clarify, really what we're providing is different reference documents. So our guidelines are our guidelines. It's not a revision of the guidelines. It's just to provide additional information to help the schools be able to use the guidance that we put forward.
President Trump has threatened to cut school funding, even though nearly all school funding comes from state and local sources. The World Health Organization says airborne transmission of coronavirus is possible in certain circumstances. The WHO reviewed outbreaks in closed settings, such as in restaurants and nightclubs where people talk or sing. They say in these outbreaks, aerosol transmission cannot be ruled out. However, the WHO says more research is needed to determine if those instances can spread the virus. Congressman and Dr. Raul Ruiz joins us now. Doctor, it's good to have you with us. Let's talk about the urgency of all of this. Is there a sense of urgency, or now that we've let the toothpaste out of the tube, it's hard to bring it back and people seem to be resisting?
You know, that's a very good question. And my take is that we are not seeing the sense of urgency from the county and other city officials as needed to address where we are right now. If you look at the Riverside County COVID-19 transmission curve and you see the initial blue projection slope, and you realize that the slope that we're in at the far right of your screen with the burgundy color, they are almost identical. The only caveat is the enormous amount of caseload represented by the vertical lines of the right that you're seeing. So what we wanted to avoid, that initial small wave, is now a much larger wave with almost the exact same rate of transmission, which was the initial trajectory that had everybody concerned. So given that, we have lost the benefit of flattening the curve and we're at a worse situation, and we have heard nothing from the county or other city officials where we need to really start to stress the importance of keeping our distance, wearing a mask, washing our hands, and this is not the time to be silent. We need the county, the public health officer, the sheriff, and the whole county team to stand together in press conferences, informing us of the situation. Look, we have hospitals who are getting close to having to request more ventilators in my district. Others may have a little more than some, but this is a situation that we need to be very urgent with.
We're also hearing that PPEs are at risk as well. I mean, we have gotten ourselves into a situation that, you know, it's one step forward and maybe three steps back. And so aside from, you know, more reaction from the county, as you insist, what else can be done? Because we continue to try to reopen and let people get back to normal, but that isn't working.
Well, we need the county to take local control and not just abdicate responsibility and defer to the state and their enforcement mechanisms as well. We need to do and be more aggressive to local reality, like the city of Palm Springs has, with more robust instructions on wearing a mask in public and enforcement modalities. And they need to give their surge intervention plan and enforcement plan. And that may require some changes in gatherings and changes in recommendations in terms of house-to-house gatherings, but at least putting the word out there is very important. Look, I'm going to give you a very, very serious warning, and this is for everybody who's watching. If we are at high capacity right now into a surge intervention in July and August, where we're actually supposed to be at our lower, slower moment, imagine how it's going to be like in the fall when we have the coronavirus, we have the cold, we have the flu, we have bronchitis, and we have all the other seasonal respiratory illnesses on top of the coronavirus, which we don't have right now. Imagine what that's going to do to our healthcare system. You're going to see a tremendous strain. Not that we're not strained now, because we're strained, but you will see a strain like we've never seen before here in the desert.
Why is there a reluctance to really pull back and pull back hard?
You know, yes, and I think that we have built our knowledge on this virus where we don't have to just completely flip on and off the switch. We are at a point now, however, where we need to add more precautions. We are at a point where the county public health officer, the supervisors, the sheriff need to communicate frequently with the public in terms of its surge intervention plan and its enforcement plan. We are at a point now where we really need to stress publicly, every single public official, to take this seriously and to urge people to make sure that they stay at home as much as possible, and when they leave for essential errands, to wear a mask and to keep their distance at least 6 feet apart when near others.
So the big talk right now is schools reopening, and some pretty soon within the next month. The schools say they are going to need more money to do that. The president has said he threatens to pull funding, which doesn't necessarily come from the feds anyway. But are the feds prepared to give school districts more money in order to do what they need in order to open?
Well, when you speak about the feds, you're talking about the administration under the White House, you're talking about the Senate, and you're talking about the House. The House already acted. We passed the HEROES Act with $90 billion that will go toward schools to help them prepare for reopening, and we passed this in last May. It's still sitting on Mitch McConnell's desk in the Senate. Well, because he said at that time that he wasn't going to pass any more assistant aid packages for the American people. However, now Senator McConnell and the president are asking for more money for large corporations. I think that there is an opportunity to start negotiating, increase the urgency to make sure that the HEROES Act stimulus package, with the stimulus check, with funding to schools, with contact tracers, with more testing and more support for small businesses, is passed, and it's passed immediately.
Well, there are so many more questions. I wish we had more time, but Representative Ruiz, we thank you for your time today. You've been out front on this from the very beginning, and we appreciate the time.
Thank you.
In this morning's You Ask, We Investigate report, several people have reached out to us wondering if texts and emails they receive from Riverside County after being tested for coronavirus are legitimate. Our Kitty Alvarado looked into it.
Robert Goldhammer and his husband received a text from an out-of-state number with a link from the County of Riverside.
Recently, you visited one of our COVID-19 testing sites. We need additional information so that we may bill the proper insurance company. And it has a link that you click on, and it asks for all your personal information.
They did get tested, but something about it seemed odd.
It comes across as a scam.
So they called the local county office. The person on the other end said
they would never ask for personal information via text, and that the number would always be a 951 number, a Riverside number.
So we sent it to NBC Palm Springs to make sure we could alert other people about the scam. We reached out to the county, and to our surprise, it's legitimate. They are sending texts and emails requesting insurance information from people who've recently been tested. To get federal funding for coronavirus, they must attempt to bill insurance providers, but people will not be charged. The county now realizes this could be perceived as a scam.
We will also be sending a follow-up communication, apologizing for the confusion, informing people that this is in fact a legitimate email and a legitimate text message from the County of Riverside, from our Riverside University Health System, and that we do need some of their help if they do have an insurance provider.
Well, you're going to be surprised because I just called the county, sent them all the texts and the emails, and they said it's real.
Really?
Robert did the right thing. Thanks to him, the county acknowledged the confusion, and with millions of people scammed every year, it's better to be cautious.
I'd rather be safe than sorry.
Kitty Alvarado, NBC Palm Springs.
And the county says the messages came from out-of-state numbers because they use a technical service provider to send those messages. Now, if you have a problem or a story you would like us to look into, send us an email to news@nbcpalmsprings.com. And here's a beautiful shot outside from our Agua Caliente Casino Cam in Palm Springs. Let's check in with Jerry. The heat will be turned on at what time?
Yeah, tomorrow and throughout the weekend, early next week, we're going to see temps well above average. You're seeing something now we haven't seen over the Coachella Valley in a while. Clouds, mid-level moisture beginning to move in. Not going to see any rain. It's just well up in the atmosphere. We're going to see a little bit of cloud cover over the next couple of days, so partly cloudy skies. 101, moving into triple digits already. 7-mile-an-hour winds, 15% relative humidity, relatively dry this afternoon. 77 at Big Bear, doing our temp check around the valley. 96 up at Yucca Valley, 99 at 29 Palms. And we're seeing a few triple digits already around the area. 101 at Thousand Palms, 105 at Mecca, 102 at Indio. Rancho Mirage 101, Cathedral City at that same number. So satellite imagery, not much going on over the southwest right now. A few clouds kind of moving into the area, nothing on radar at all. 109 to 113 will be the range of highs today. That's nothing unusual about this time of year. So slightly above 110 for this afternoon. And then temperatures go up even higher as we move into the weekend. Dew point's a little higher too, around 50 degrees by the middle of the afternoon. But we could see a few single-digit relative humidity numbers before those numbers inch up too. But around that 110 mark today. Our 3-day forecast from Comfort Air, it gives us that excessive heat that we're going to see over the weekend. That will be in effect through Monday before the temps begin to retreat. But Comfort Air 3-day forecast includes that 116 for Palm Springs tomorrow, and then Sunday 118 with a few 120s in the valley possible. We'll take a closer look at what we can expect for temps over the next few days. Full forecast just minutes away.
Thank you, Jerry. Coming up after the break, an update on the case of a black man found hanging in Palmdale and why investigators rule it a suicide. And coming up later, it was such a success the first time around, the Indio Senior Center is ready for another one. The details coming up. One person was killed in a crash earlier this morning in Desert Hot Springs. The crash happened near Pearson Boulevard and Karen Avenue at about 3 a.m. The Riverside County Fire Department responded to the crash and declared one person dead at the scene. No other injuries have been reported. DHS police are currently investigating the accident. The death of a 24-year-old black man found hanging from a tree in Palmdale last month is officially ruled a suicide. The LA County Sheriff's Department made the determination after a thorough investigation. Since Robert Fuller's hanging followed George Floyd's death in police custody, some suspected foul play. Azarmela Aguirre reports investigators are confident about their findings in this case.
We're here today to discuss the unfortunate passing of Mr. Robert Fuller, age 24.
Investigators say the controversial death of Robert Fuller in Palmdale has officially been ruled a suicide based on evidence they found at the scene and Fuller's mental health history.
Detectives identified a purchase from a local Dollar Tree store made on May 14, 2020, in which a red rope consistent with the one used in the hanging was purchased with the EBT card registered to Mr. Fuller. Detectives purchased a similar rope from that same store and delivered it to the Los Angeles County Crime Lab for comparison to the rope found at the scene.
The case drew outrage after some in the community questioned what they saw as the sheriff's rush to rule it a suicide. Fuller's body was found on June 10th, about 2 weeks after the Minneapolis death of George Floyd sparked nationwide protests, and after another black man was found hanging from a tree in Victorville. That case was ruled a suicide. Some family members have said that Fuller didn't have issues with mental health, but investigators say there's documented evidence that says otherwise.
Obtained from a hospital in Arizona, was documented treatment in January of 2017 that Mr. Fuller was diagnosed for having auditory hallucinations, in which it was reported that Mr. Fuller stated that he wanted to put a gun to his head. In February of 2019, Mr. Fuller self-admitted to a California hospital. He was reportedly hearing voices telling himself to kill himself. In November of 2019, Mr. Fuller was treated at a hospital in Nevada for suicidal ideation and depression. He disclosed that he did have a plan to kill himself then.
Investigators also say there were no surveillance cameras that faced the park and no evidence of anyone else being in the area at the time. During the news conference today, Sheriff Alex Villanueva responded to questions about the credibility of his department.
But the overwhelming majority of the public trusts the Sheriff's Department, and as you can see, we complete investigation and then we report on the results. We don't piecemeal it and we don't cut any corners.
We reached out to a rep for the family and she tells us the family doesn't have any comment at this time. In Palmdale, Hermela Aragawi, KCAL 9 News.
We have new details in the search for missing actress Naya Rivera. The Ventura County Sheriff's Office released security video camera video showing her and her 4-year-old son setting off along Lake Piru. You can see the mother and son depart on calm open waters before they travel out of sight. Hours later, Naya's son Josie would be found sleeping alone on the boat in his life jacket. Authorities were able to determine his mother didn't return to the boat with him.
There was one life jacket on board and there was one life jacket on the 4-year-old boy. The only thing I can really comment on is that he gave enough information to investigators to conclude that his mother never made it out of the water.
The case is now being called a recovery mission. Here's a look outside right now at our Agua Caliente Casino cam in Palm Springs. Jerry's got your AccuWeather forecast. It's going to be a hot one. Stay with us. We're back after this.
And a good Friday late morning. We're seeing something we haven't seen over the Coachella Valley in a couple days. Clouds. Basically, we're going to see partly cloudy skies over the next few days. Some of that mid and upper level moisture kind of seeping into Southern California. We're seeing a little bit of that right now in our Agua Caliente casino cam. Kind of a pretty sight. So a mix of sun and clouds as we move into the weekend. But it's not going to shelter us from the heat. The numbers are going to go up. Today, normal heat like yesterday, 109. That was a range of highs yesterday afternoon around that number, 110. 107 is our normal for this time of year. And we'll see similar numbers a little later on. On our way right now, a lot of triple digits around the Coachella Valley, around that 100-degree mark. 99 Coachella, 98 degrees at 29 Palms. Even the San Gorgonio Pass getting close to triple digits, at least at Cabazon there. Mostly clear skies. You can see some shading, some clouds beginning to rotate in. All part of monsoonal moisture. It's going to stay mostly to the east of us over Arizona, but you can see it kind of pushing its way into Southern California. So we're going to see a little bit more of that as we move into the next couple of days. No rain with that monsoonal moisture for us. That all stays over Arizona. But temps today, again, around that 110 mark, much like we saw over the past couple of days. 112 today for Palm Springs, 111 at Indio, 107 at 29 Palms, almost there right now, 103 at Cabazon, 100 degrees for Banning. Now, beginning Saturday and lasting through Monday, that ridge of high pressure really strengthen and boost those numbers well above average. Matter of fact, we'll stop shy of 120 in the Coachella Valley on Saturday. And then on Sunday, these numbers move from 116s, 117s to 120s and 121s. That's Sunday, the hottest day. They back off a little bit, but still at 120 or just under that for Monday afternoon. So excessive heat warnings in effect for the valley, high desert, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. And again, we're going to be way up there with those numbers. Clouds, yeah, a little bit moving in now. We'll see partly cloudy skies Saturday, Sunday. That'll clear out again Monday, Tuesday. Surface moisture quite dry over the next couple of days, except those numbers move up as far as dew points for the weekend, around 50 degrees by the middle of the afternoon. Christina, tropical storm at its strongest tropical storm number, 70-mile-an-hour winds. If it becomes 75, it becomes a hurricane. Still could happen over the next 24 hours, but unlikely. And then it'll weaken anyway, moving into dry air and warmer, rather cooler sea surface temps. Here's your Comfort Air 7-day forecast. 112 today. Yeah, the weekend's going to be hot. For Palm Springs, 116 Saturday, Sunday 118, back to 116 Monday, and then back to normal, at least closer to that, by the middle of next week.
Demand equals support. It's why the Indio Senior Center is getting ready for a second care package giveaway. It happens July 17th. Now, here this morning with the details is Brooke Berry, Director of Communications and Marketing for the City of Indio. It's good to see you, Brooke.
You too. Thanks so much for having me on, Joe.
Well, so you were so successful, probably a victim of your own success, that now you need to have another one.
Absolutely. We had a senior center care package giveaway in June. We put together more than 500 care packages, things like exercise bands, playing cards, toilet paper, hand sanitizer, masks. And we had allotted about 4 hours to give everything out. And within 3, it was gone. The demand was that big.
And so what's going to happen this time? Because you're probably going to have those bags filled with different things, but do you have enough to go around?
We are looking for donations right now. The community was so generous last time in donating money, but also some of the supplies that we were looking for. And so that's what we're asking again, so that we can tailor it a little bit more toward the needs of our seniors during the summer. So things like visors to protect them from the sun, sunscreen, fans, even right handheld fans or small electric fans. That would be amazing. But also just, things to make people smile. But we are looking for donations. We'll take them up until the Monday before the care package giveaway, so Monday the 13th, just so we have time to assemble them. And then the drive itself, it's a drive-through donation giveaway. You stay in your car, wear a mask. If you're 55 and older, you are welcome to take 1 bag per person. And that's on Friday, July the 17th from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Yes, it is a little bit early, but it's also a little bit hot too. And we want to make sure that everyone stays safe through this process.
And so who came up with this idea? It's really wonderful.
Our senior center has been really working hard to keep the seniors connected. The senior center has been closed, as so many places did, since March. And for some of those seniors, the people that they see there and socialize with may be the only people that they see all week. And so this isolation that's been put in place in order to keep everyone safe from COVID-19 has really, I think amongst our seniors population, led to some feelings of isolation and depression. And so they were really trying to think outside of the box for ways that they could reach out. They do a lot of virtual programming. They do exercise with art a couple times a week. They do bingo a couple of times a week through their Facebook page. But they wanted to have that physical interaction, that physical touch with people.
Well, let's hope that this is the last one that you have to do. Are you planning for a third at this point?
Let's see what the turnout is like on the 17th. If the demand is there, then absolutely we will work with the community to put one on again. But hopefully that is not the case. But you know how it is, Joe, during the summer. People leave. Your support system is a little bit lighter than it would before. So the Indio Senior Center wanted to step in and do that for the people in our population who have given so much over the years to us all.
Well, what's amazing about the Coachella Valley is that when there is a demand, really people step up and they really are there to help each other.
Absolutely. And you can do that by emailing the Senior Center at seniorcenter@indio.org or calling them as well and just letting them know that you have some things that you could contribute to these senior care packages. Something that's very simple that might be easy for you to get. If you go out and about in the community, we take for granted that it might be harder for someone who relies on others as their transportation or has been told or is making the choice for their own health reasons that they need to not go out and about in a store or to pick up little odds and ends to fill in the gaps in their household right now.
All right, people can donate and, of course, participate on July the 17th, 55 and older. And it's a drive-through, which I think is terrific as well.
Thank you so much, Joe. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
And keep it right here. We'll be right back. And welcome back. Tropical Storm Faye is expected to hit parts of New York, New Jersey, and other eastern states today. Here's a live look at the coast of New Jersey. It's already felt some powerful rain and wind from the storm as the storm moves northeast. Sustained winds got as high as 50 miles an hour. It could potentially lead to flash flooding. 9 people had to be rescued on Long Beach yesterday. And 17-year-old boy drowned due to rough waters in New Jersey. And this is our radar right now, where you can see that storm just making its way up the East Coast. Jerry's going to have a little bit more on that a little bit later. Now to some consumer news. United Airlines has a tentative cost-cutting deal with the pilots union. The airlines and the union that represents some 13,000 United pilots have reached a tentative agreement for voluntary furloughs and early retirement packages. It's the airline's latest effort to slash costs as the coronavirus pandemic devastates travel-minded people. Now, the deal still needs, though, to be ratified by union leaders next week. There's a lot of uncertainty for parents planning for school and college this fall, and as Liz McLaughlin reports now, that's leading to a shift in spending.
It's going to be an absolute train wreck.
After a nationwide experiment in virtual homeschooling over the spring, Lauren Sivak of Frisco, Texas, has anxiety about what the next school year will bring.
It truly becomes mental health versus physical health. And I don't know how to make that call.
And she's not alone.
78% are really worried about sending their kids back to school.
That's according to an annual back-to-school survey by Deloitte, showing the uncertainty is shifting parents' spending habits, investing less in clothing this year and more in technology.
We saw computers go up about 38%.
Some schools and universities have started announcing reopening plans for fall. As virtual learning becomes more prevalent for students, so does the technology to keep them connected.
The key thing is going to be having a reliable laptop.
But it doesn't have to break the bank. With many schools utilizing web-based learning platforms, an inexpensive laptop like the Chromebook, starting at around $200, could be all they need.
Instead of Windows, it runs Google's Chrome operating system. It's basically just a big web browser.
Back to school costs, then maybe added stress for many families who now have financial worries on top of COVID-19 health concerns. Liz McLaughlin, NBC News.
And as we head to break, let's take a live look outside with our Walter Clark Highway 111 camera. Jerry's got your full hot forecast up next.
Friday, late morning. We're looking at partly cloudy skies, actually mostly clear, but a few clouds moving in as expected. Some of that mid-level moisture on our Agua Caliente casino cam is visible in the form of, puffy clouds. 101 right now at Desert Hot Springs, Palm Springs, Thousand Palms, 99 Coachella, 129 Palms, 98 at Cabazon at this hour. For the most part, clear skies, but we do have some moisture, some tropical moisture being pushed up into Arizona, and some of that's beginning to push its way into Southern California. Kind of hard to see in our satellite imagery, nothing on radar. 112, that will be the high today, so kind of similar to yesterday, not too out of the ordinary for this time of year, mid-July. 111 at Palm Desert, Indio, and Thousand Palms at 111 as well. 107 up north at 29 Palms, and just above 100 degrees for many communities in the San Gorgonio Pass area. Keep in mind that these numbers, like I said, not unusual, but this will be cool compared to what we're going to go to over the weekend as high pressure begins to move into the area. We do have that ridge strengthening Saturday, moving those numbers between 115 and 118 on Saturday afternoon. A little more cloud cover moving into the area, and a touch more humidity, just a little bit. So 116 on Saturday for Palm Springs, 117 at Palm Desert, 116 at Indio, and then Sunday, that'll be the hottest day of the three, with temps that could reach 120 and 121 in the Coachella Valley. About 110 up north, and definitely up to the triple digits in the San Gorgonio Pass. Just at or below 120 for Monday. Then Tuesday, the numbers come back down. But excessive heat warnings in effect for the Coachella Valley, High Desert, San Gorgonio Pass, eastern Riverside County, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday with extreme heat. Will we see records fall? Yeah. It's going to be close in Palm Springs, but it looks like thermal could beat those records. 117 set back in 98 and a 120 set back in 85. Those records could be tied or beat this coming weekend. So clouds beginning to form as we move into the weekend. Then they clear out on Monday. Keep in mind that we'll have a little bit more humidity than we had over the past couple of days. Single-digit relative humidity last couple of afternoons, moving into the teens today, and we could see that again tomorrow. Okay, here's your Comfort Air 7-day forecast. 112 today for Palm Springs, then excessive heat Saturday, Sunday, Monday. Temps finally back off by the middle of next week with highs of 110 Wednesday and Thursday. On time?
Our Sandy Newton is back with us this morning for another silver lining, and it seems to me this particular one comes out of necessity.
It does. Good morning, Joe. It really does. You know, Buddha Bullying has been in our desert since 2011, and they have really reached out to tens of thousands of students across the valley. It's an epidemic, bullying. We know that. But now more than ever, it seems, young people are on their devices. They've been learning remotely at home. They're trying to Zoom and communicate with family and friends, and that does give voice to those online trolls and other instances of real bullying and abuse. So Buddha Bullying has really stepped up to their game, and they're addressing it during this dire time.
Well, it's good to know that it's having some impact. Let's take a look.
Buddha Bullying started reaching out to Valley youth suffering from bullying back in 2011. Since then, they've reached over 20,000 students in all 3 school districts with both on and off-campus outreach. They recently received an Anderson Children's Foundation grant, which will allow them to reach out to elementary schools. It's a personal and passionate mission for founder Dimitri Halkitis, who was bullied as a child. During this pandemic, as instances of bullying and abuse have risen, he says he has found a silver lining.
Tell me how you're dealing with that at Buddha Bullying and how you're helping our community.
You know, Cindy, good question. Unfortunately, obviously, we can't be out in the community like we used to be, whether it was picnics or outreach of that sort. I feel like almost we're going back to our roots of how to reach out. And that also goes when parents or youth reach out to us too, whether it's direct message and an email through our website or through our various social media platforms. If it's anything serious, obviously it goes further to a doctor or we report it. But Sandy, it's so sad. We get emails constantly right here in our valley. You know, I heard of 2 deaths 2 months ago. The kids were under 12 years old.
Hello, my name is Solange Signoret and I am 14 years old.
We have quite a few young peer-to-peer ambassadors, but Solange is here in our local valley. And yet she has been such a force to reckon with. And we have been actively producing new videos that will be going online for the new school year. The silver lining through all this is really connecting back to the community, connecting to your heart, connecting who you are, and really being a good human. Besides how bipartisan we are, we still have to live together. And I think the kindness and be kind and love conquers all. We really truly believe that at Buddha Bullying. As a human, actually, before even as an organization, I think it's important to rise up and talk the talk and walk the walk.
Yes, great insight and great advice indeed. Thank you to Dimitri and all the youth ambassadors for all you're doing for our valley. For NBC Cares Silver Linings, I'm Sandy Newton.
Well, you know, it's officially summer, and that means we really have to stay hydrated, which means we're going to be upping our beverage count. And if you're like me, you like a good straw with your beverage, but we have to be mindful of our environment. So what to do? Well, our next guest, Bert Ballas, has come up with a genius idea. Welcome, Bert.
Thank you very much for having me on the show, Sadie.
Well,
nice seeing you.
Nice to see you too. Tell us a little bit about your creation. How did you come up with a concept for a portable, reusable, and rinsable straw?
Yeah, I'm an outdoorsman. I travel quite a bit. I'm really conscious of the environment. And as you know, the plastic straw has been banned in most of North America. And everywhere I go, I just saw, garbage in the lakes and the oceans and the ditches and so on and so forth. So I thought, let's give back. Let's design something that's sophisticated, portable, versatile, as well as compact, and then on top of it being self-rinsing for cleanliness purposes. So thus we came up with the straw.
Well, I think you've hit all of the indicators that you need. You're environmentally friendly, it's rinsable, it's portable. What I like about it is that there's different sizes too, because oftentimes we have different size glasses, right? So you can adapt the straw size to whatever you're drinking your beverage in.
Yeah, good point, because it comes in it screws together, so it's actually got the versatility of 4 lengths. You can use it in the short glass, medium glass, tall glass, or even something like a bottle, like a big tall bottle. So it goes up to, and I like that versatility. And it's easy to carry in your pocket or your purse.
So smart, so smart. And now, of course, during COVID-19, we're so worried about hygiene and sanitary conditions. So tell me how your product really helps us there as well.
Well, what we designed it to be an everyday personal item. So when you pick up your keys, you have the straw with it. You can even be attached to your keys or on a lanyard. You carry it with you, and it's 100% personal, just like your toothbrush. Now, you don't know who or how many people have touched your glass. So really, when you get a beverage or a drink or a can, you can use your own personal straw, put it in, and drink the fluids in it without having anyone else have touched it. And again, saving the environment at the same time.
And how is it you have a rinsable way to do it too in the case, right? Is that correct? Am I correct in saying that?
That's correct. Well, what we did is we put it into a watertight case. So you can put water or mouthwash or whatever in the morning, you put it in. That way, after you've used it, let's say, juice, pop, whatever, milk, you can put it back in the case. You just shake it, or as you carry it, it shakes, and it basically self-rinses it. So when you pull it back out to use again, you can just use it right from the case, or and then when you get home, you can just dump it out and put the new water in it or new mouthwash in it. And it takes the stickiness and so on away.
So show us.
So you don't have to go.
Yeah, and I see that you have it there, Bert. So just lift it up into our camera, too, to just kind of see how small it is and compact. Right, you just can put that on your keychain. Genius idea. I have a keychain
with a bottle opener on it, and then basically it unscrews. I've got liquid in it now, so I'm not going to dump it. And then you just pull out the straw, and you put them together, you screw them together, so you have 1 length, 2 lengths, 3 lengths, 4 lengths. That would be for medium-sized glass. Now you can make it that long for the next size glass, and it's all stainless steel, so it doesn't rust. It's just like your cutlery, and you can even make it that.
And I see
Look
you
at the
have
length of that now.
Oh, that is genius. That is really fantastic. And the tip where you put your mouth, I see that's kind of soft, right? So
yes, surgical tubing. So again, it's for hygiene, and it doesn't get cold or warm. Plus, you don't have metal against your teeth. And then you got a little brush in the center of the case too, so each section can be cleaned. And as you can see, you just take it apart. Mine's wet right now because I do have fluid in my case, and I put it right back in the case like that. And look at the size of the case. It's only tiny.
I love it. Thank you so much, Bert. Quickly tell us how we can find the straw.
Well, just go online, and you can buy it, thestraw.shop. So you can purchase it right online. It comes in 4 colors.
Great.
And
well, Genius idea, perfect for those of us in the desert who are going to be really upping our beverage count as the temperatures rise. And I thank you so much for being with us, and I'm looking forward to trying the straw with my iced tea.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much.
And thank you for having me on the show, Sadie.
Absolutely. Thanks so much.